I'm really looking forward to this call today. I posted it on the Facebook and some other social media, and it surprised me, pleasantly surprised me, how many people from so many different places want to be on the call or listening to the call after. This is going to be a big one, and it's kind of it's not like a major announcement in a product, although there will be some of that tied to this, but it's the opportunity that most people never get to be able to develop a presentation, a short one, so that they can become very effective in their business. Now, sad as it is, most people fail because they don't try, and they don't try because they have internal fears, usually the fear factor of being rejected, of talking to someone. But for those who go through that and get through the fear factor, their success is unlimited. But one of the problems you have, especially when you're in a company like Sizzle, and I don't know if there are any others like Sizzle, but the big problem you have is what you're trying to do is explain whatever the exciting product or opportunity is, and to know what you're talking about, know what you're saying. So there's a couple of things that you should understand in the foundation of what you're doing. You should get your presentation down hot and deliver it cold. And what that means, it doesn't have to be a big presentation, but you need to write it down, go over it, and then practice it until you're fluent with it. That doesn't take much. You can do that one evening or so with that, and then you go out and what do? Now you can play the piano. You don't go out and play Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto, do you? You go out and play Yankee Doodle or something else like that. And with that, but every time you do, your ability increases. But it puts you on the track to where you can. So my other suggestion is find a target item. And don't pitch. Don't be a master of all trades, or practicer of all trades and not a master of none, of any. So what you really want to do is be extremely good and efficient and effective with one product. And that product can have a whole line underneath it that goes with it, but simply one. For instance, if I was talking to someone, would I talk to them about toothpaste? Only if, that was an issue that came up there. Would I talk to them about hair shampoo? Probably not either. Would I talk to them about growing younger and living longer with the age pill? Yeah, I would. So if that was your target item, you would successfully promote and sell that. And I'll tell you how to do that real quickly, and then I'm going to give you some key questions to get you into it. But once you do that, you really need to develop within yourself the ability to follow up on what questions that come and learn the different facets of what people might say or people might think, or you can read it off social network. But the one thing that's important is you need to present it in a very concise, effective way that gets a response from them to you. This is a direct sales company. That means we do our advertising basically through you. We give you the support material, the literature, and all of those things, but the advertising budget, which is very extensive in most companies, is put into commissions for you. So you have a more effective approach. I mean, who believes those commercials on TV? Every company saying they can save you 15% on auto insurance. Do you believe that? And so many other things that are like that. But in reality, you can actually become quite effective in this business if you learn how to do these things properly and then follow up on them. So if you make your presentation of your product, once that's done and you've completed the sale, you need to follow through and complete the sale, then you're going to be able to add another product on. Then you go and add on. You take it. So if it's an A++ product with the H pill, then what's an A+ or A++ product to go along with it? I can tell you right now, the Sizzle H2 stick is really the one to run with that. But everything goes better with either one of those two, and together, 1 and 1 is 100 because of the power within these products. And then after that, what do you go after? Well, brain vitality. You can look at so many, the triangle of life, all of those things, but those, you don't need to learn all this at first. So don't be that jack of all trades and master of none. Just learn what you want with one line, one product, present it, and then learn enough so that if you have to or you refer back to it, other products that can make it more effective. So, and you should keep it short, and you should, and that's not a reflection on Joe King, just keep your presentation short, and you should be able to deliver it with some conviction and passion. If you just read it, then it sounds like you're just reading it. But if you practice it enough and you can listen to it, I'd record myself and listen to it and see where I was weak and where I needed to improve it, and you can become very good at that. But you need to understand 3 things that are involved for making a sale. You have the opening, the presentation, and the close. And opening is simple. I've talked about it before. You can go and see on YouTube with Sell Like a Professional, Tom Mower, and it will teach you exactly what to do. It doesn't matter what sales fields are in, exactly what to do to be extremely successful if you're willing to learn it and willing to do it. And pretty soon it becomes automatic. So people don't present themselves right for the opening with it. They don't stand straight. They don't have good eye contact. They don't have a good handshake, and the voice sounds quivering. Well, that's not a good way to open it. So, and you need to be, are you in charge, or are you there waiting to try and volley back whatever's hit your way? You need to step forward, half a step, take their hands, look in their eyes, put a smile on your face, and in a pleasant tone, just simply say, it's really nice to meet you and talk to you. I've been looking forward to it, and I think I have some things that might really interest you, or something that might interest you. See, that's the opening. Then you make your presentation. The presentation has 3 parts. That's the middle part of this. But the presentation in itself has 3 subparts, and that is you have define the need for the product. In other words, you're not going to sell the age pill to somebody 15 generally, or 20. But find a need, and then the second thing is create doubt. Whatever the need is, if they're older, what is the need? They want to go younger. They don't want to continue to get older at an accelerating rate. They don't want to lose 20 or 30 or 40 extra potential years that they could live for, and spend the last 10 of what their normal lifespan would be in some nursing home with all of those things and limited, and that's just in existence, so you go back. Or you can reverse it and flip it on its head. You can grow younger, live longer, have energy, all those types of things. So that would be the find the need, create doubt. Because what are you using to do that? If you could live another, say I told you within your genetic code, which is the math, you have the ability to live to be 120 or 150 years old, and you're going to die in your 70s or 80s. And what does that mean? That means that you've missed out on 40, 50, 60, 70 years of life. But who can live that long? Most people can't. Few can. Few have lived beyond that when they've known some of the things to do that we're doing. But in reality, you have to have a way to achieve that, and we've got the track for you to run on in order to do that. But you say, if you don't do anything, where are you? Maybe are you 60? Well, you got probably best 20 years on your life. Some will go beyond that. So, but how would you like to turn that 20 into 50? How would you like being age 60 and you progressively grow younger until you're 40 forever? So, those are all things in the presentation, because now I'm fulfilling the third part of it, and that is starts out with find a need, create doubt that what they're using is not working, and then the fourth one is provide a solution. And so if you've done that, and it should be done fairly decent time, presentations should go just a couple of minutes in reality, but anywhere it is, depending on the person you're talking to. But then when you're done, you have to close the sale. The problem most people have is they're afraid to ask for the sale. They're afraid to ask the customer to buy. And so they overpresent and they sell themselves in and out of their product, and they're not successful. So here's an important thing for you to understand about selling. Selling can be more successful by what you say and how you say it than just taking what you think is the best approach and seeing if they like it and they want to buy it. That's not the way to do it. Here's the way to do it. People can, in a simple sale, is somebody say, okay, I got this product in stock. Would you like to try a bottle for you and a bottle for your husband or wife with that type of thing? I can get you, and the answer to that is what? Yes or no. This sounds like a great product for weight loss. Would you like to try a bag? Yes or no. You don't want yes or no. You've made your presentation, so instead of asking them a direct question, would you like to buy a bottle or a bag or whatever this is, you ask them a question that makes a choice, so that they make a choice. And it takes the customers, this customer's afraid that you're selling him some flim-flam or her flim-flam scam, or it's by another overhyped company and all those. You have to get through that. And so they're somewhat resistant. So if you use this approach, it'll take their eye off the ball and put them into a buying mode. And so what you do is you need to understand two things. Yes does not mean yes. It means I'll buy. And no does not mean no. It means I don't understand. So when I say that, you get down to the end of it. Now you need to ask your qualifying question. And I'm going to give you 6 big ones today to ask people that will lead you into it. But when you're ready to do that, you ask your qualification. If you've made the right presentation, learn when to shut up and move on to the next point. And that is, here's the qualifier. Does this look like something that would be good for you? What is that? Yes. That means I'll buy. Oh, great. Now here's what I have for you that will probably work. And then you go right to see, yes means I'll buy. Does it look like something be good for you? Yes. Okay, I've got it here. I can give you this price, and to go with it, I can deliver it to you today, or I can send it to you later. Or the next thing, if you want to qualify the next step beyond that, you can say to them, now, you're going to use this for yourself. Would you want to include your spouse with this in addition, so that they have the same benefits you do? So would you prefer 1 bottle or 2? Or if it's you and your spouse both buying it, would you like 1 bottle each and 1 spare one so that you don't run out when you're doing it? Which would you prefer? Now, you see what you've asked them? You haven't asked them to buy. Which would you prefer? Does this look like something good for you? Yes. Okay, that means I'll buy. So then you give them a choice. It comes in this size, that size. There's 2 of you. And so how many products do you need? And so that's what you do. And it ends up just that way, that they'll say, well, give me 2 bottles. Okay, or give me 3. So we got 1 in reserve. And that's the way you can sell properly. Now, I'm going to take you into a different facet of today, and that's what is coming on. And I'm trying to preface this so you understand it. Some of you have heard me say some of these presentations before, and certainly the training tape that is on YouTube is very effective with that. Especially if you watch it, don't watch it. Take notes from it and put them down for knowing exactly what you do and exactly what order to do them in, and exactly what to say and how to say it and when to do it. It's all in that for you, if you want to put out that kind of thing. But let's compare that. You're a direct seller, so you have a huge advantage. First of all, you have person-to-person contact. Now with social media and things like that, okay, you still have personal contact with them on an electronic basis rather than just face-to-face. So as a consequence, you can interact and you can present more. But in advertising, if you have a big store or a big car dealership or anything like that, they try to put an ad that will get the customer to come into the store. And once they're into the store, then they will try and find out what their need is and show them how, obviously whatever their need is not being satisfied. Here's something that will fit that solution. So that's what they do within the store. So you can do the same thing here yourself, but let's get to the main point of advertising. An advertisement, it doesn't matter what it says. If it says something absurd, I mean, if you look at those farmer insurance ads and the one with that little lizard, I forgot the name of that one, but my God, they are so absurd with what they're doing. They don't really make much sense, and they're trying to get. But what are they trying to do? So they're trying to get you. Oh, Geico insurance. So what are they trying to do is get you to talk to them, and that means they're either going to contact you, you're going to get a hold of an agent, or you're going to walk into a store, and that's the purpose of the advertisement. Once you're there, then they're going to sell products and promote things to you that you could use or that they want to sell with it. So understand this. In our business, you have direct selling, where you have person-to-person contract. You have a lot of things that they never could put in an advertising because advertisement is so expensive. You can have some support literature. You can have an article or a few things with you to quote on, which are not tough to get because we're providing them. You can get those. And so you talk to them and make your presentation. That's much more effective than just advertising to get them through the door and then see what happens from there. However, one of our theories that we built this company on was bridging the gap between science and human needs. And so that's been a theme of mine for a long time. There's a lot of science, a lot of human needs. They're not coming together and working. But I think we can bridge the gap between direct selling and retail advertising. And we can do that to fulfill your needs and the needs of other people with it. So I've done a fair amount of prefacing on these other things which all lead up to. It's very important. So if I could give you about 5, 6, 7 questions that you could ask someone, and immediately it got a response so that then you could go into whatever presentation it is, that would be very powerful. I would suggest you write these down. I'm also going to publish it today so that it'll be there for you. I'll have to think about a couple of these things. But anyway, let's run through some of the questions. Now remember, when you make the question, then you're going to get the person that they're interested. You need to, now see, there's where you're getting over into retail advertising. And then you have the power of direct sales that comes on top of that to have you really make the sale. So the first thing is, if you stood on the street corner and said, anyone want to buy product to grow hair? If you run up to people and say, I've got something to remove wrinkles on your old face, those aren't effective ways of doing it. But there are ways to get a person's interested in communicating with you. The biggest key to this thing is you must communicate. You can learn these down, you can write them down, you can work them in one line, or some of you may be much more versatile. I mean, you look at Laura and her Puccini Machini and people like that. They're out there, and Chris Spikemo, they're doing Barbara Grindy and then Christy Kopechny, and there's a bunch of others, Andrea, and I don't want to get into mentioning names, but these people have a broad variety, but they didn't always have that broad variety of ideas and products and presentations, but they didn't always have that. They were at some point where you were at, if you're not there, that they had little knowledge, but they had the interest, and so they just built upon it, and it became now to where they're indomitable in what they're doing. So here's the questions that I would suggest you add, and I want you to listen to these, and I can get through those in just a few minutes for you. So let's put question number 1. Suppose this is how you need to think of every question. There's something they visualize, put in your mind's eye that this is you talking to someone, and you said, if you could remove all the free-floating cancer cells in your body gradually and potentially forever, would you be interested in a product like this? See how that draws you in? We all have cancer cells in our body, and I'm not talking about killing cancer, but if you could support the body, and that's how we'll say it, to support the natural biological functions to remove many or virtually all of the free-floating cancer cells in your body, forever. Would you be interested in a product like this? How many people are going to do that? Especially you get to a certain age and you see what the vulnerability is and what happens. Now, I had a friend just last week or two that lost a dog. It had cancer, and by the time they got to it and everything, there's just nothing you can do. And so I said, oh, how long have you had the dog? I said, oh, about 12, 13 years. I said, oh, that's a pity. I said, well, that's his normal lifespan. And I thought, oh, yeah, I guess it is for that breed. Some of them live a lot longer, but the bigger ones live shorter lives. So anyway, I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? Maybe age 12 is like age 70 for us, or 80 with that, because everything is deteriorated to the point where lots of dogs get cancers. And what does it happen? Usually not early on. Usually it's the latter stages of their life, and that's because cancer cells are there. The immune system isn't killing them off the way that it should be. So how about if you had something, your biology has a way of identifying them through T cells and macrophages and all types of antibodies that are involved with this process. But with it, if once it identifies it, then it gobbles them up. Well, suppose you could support the body's natural ability, which is always working, but deteriorates greatly with aging, and it's mainly because of oxidative stress. And that oxidative stress means the air you're breathing in is aging you faster because it's oxidation. It's like rusting. And so every cell in your body, of course, most of them are replaceable. The stem cells are the important ones because they make the new cells, but they're getting oxidized. They have the biggest activity too. So they're getting oxidized like crazy, and they just wear out. And the immune systems are down. Now they can't identify a bacteria, or virus, or yeast, mold, or a cancer cell, any of those things to go at an infection or do it well. And usually they can still do it to a degree, but they're sort of like they're blindfolded and have to feel around and try and find the way to make it happen. Now, I spend a lot of time on this. I don't want to spend so much on that for this first question, but so think about it. If literally you, and if you ask the person, if you literally could remove all of the free-floating cancer cells in your body by using some natural mechanism and do it gradually and potentially have them gone forever, would you be interested in a product like this? So what's the person going to say? Yeah, I would. Or, no, I'm not so worried about cancer. Well, 20 years old, okay, with that type of thing. But, as you get 40, it becomes I just have a relative just had a double mastectomy, and she's 35 with it. So when you where is she at 35? Well, she's lost about 40 or 50% of all her stem cell activity in her body. That's hard to believe at that age, but that's what happens. So everything makes you more vulnerable with this kind of thing. So with that, if you have a customer that's interested in that, then you can go into the product. Now, and if you don't think that is good enough, think of this. The body has the ability to, and it's doing it every day, killing the cancer cells that are floating around in your system. It's just when they really get cancerous and your immune system can't identify them that they start building up, and then you get a colony, and then they shield themselves from the attack, and then you've got rampant cancer. But if you could support the body with this immune system, one of the biggest cancer-fighting systems they have now, which is right new, is when somebody has cancer, even especially terminal cancer, they'll take a biopsy of the cancer tumor itself, then they'll take the DNA out of it, and then they'll run blood through a unit that separates out killer cells, the T cells, and then they put this DNA into those as they go out, and then those cells that couldn't hardly identify whatever the cancer was now goes out, and that's all they do is hunt and seek, and they're programmed to be able to do that. And so the body's natural immune system is turning on the cancer cells. They're doing that in a few hospitals around the United States here and having some phenomenal success with it. because your cancer fighting system now is in full gear and operating like when you were young again. It is specifically aggressively going after them. Don't take this to anyone that is secure for cancer, because it's not. What we're going to do is support the body's biology that is naturally killing cancer. And with that, there's certain fats and nutrients and things like that to operate within the system to make it much more efficient. That's how you say it, so you avoid a drug plan. So that's pretty exciting about that aspect of it. But look at this. Next question, number 2. As you pass the age of 20, the cells that grew you diminish until by 40, you've lost about 60% of the stem cells that grow and maintain your body. If you could remove almost all of those old cells and replace and repopulate them with new, fresh, young ones so your biology could function as if you were in your 20s again, is that something you would want to do? So where's the answer there? You got the right audience. 20-year-old, no. 30, possibly. 40, definitely. And beyond with that kind of thing. So you can see it's a huge market to do that. So let's just think about that aspect for a second. Senescent stem cells are fully active when you're from conception on. And by the time you're even 18 or 20, you've lost about 20% of your stem cell activity. It's called senescence. And so it's they're slowing down. They may still be functioning, but the production capacity has gone down. And then some of them become entirely dormant, senescent with that. And so they stop producing new cells. Well, stem cells have to replace the cells that your body is using. When you're using less than what you're losing, then you're going to shrink. You're going to age faster. You're not going to be able to be viable to do these sort of things. So you get to a certain point, like when you're 60, you have about 2%, maybe 5, I think the best, percent of stem cell activity. In other words, you lost 95, 98% of all your stem cell activity. So no wonder you're so unhealthy. No wonder you get colds or coffee and have to watch for this type of thing. And the aches and the pains are there, all that. You're just not you. You're a shell of what you used to be. But you can repopulate all of those senescent cells because the body is already trying to identify it. And one thing you don't know about, and I shouldn't lecture so much on some of this, but when stem cells become senescent, they emit one of the most dangerous oxidative reactive species. That's like oxidation. That they ooze it from out of the stem cells, and scientists think it's to alert the killer cells to come in and to create a situation called apoptosis, where they will die. Well, they die. It's like you pick an apple, and guess what? A new one will grow the next year or the next season. Or you can pick strawberries during the season, or raspberries. They'll grow rapidly, one after another, as long as the season's there. So if you compare it with that and think about it, here you can turn around and you can take your diminished, rapidly decreasing stem cells, and everything in your life and the quality of it is related to it. And just like the bud that produces a new raspberry, strawberry, or apple, that bud from that dormant senescent stem cell, which is leaking toxins to advise the cell where to come and create self-destruction within it. And it's an easy thing to do because it happens all the time. And so when that happens, then you have a bud left, and the bud will prop up a new, young stem cell. So can you imagine that? And repopulating your body, taking all those old senescent stem cells. If you're 60, you're down to probably 2 to 5%. If you're 50s, you're probably getting out of where you have 20% or less stem cell activity. It's that dramatic. So I'll read it to you one more time. If you're past the age of 20, the cells that grew you diminish until 40, and you've lost about 60% of the stem cells that grow and maintain your body. If you could remove almost all of those old cells and replace them and repopulate them with new, fresh, young ones, that you could function as if you were in your 20s again, is this something you would want to do? How many people could you say that to? There's your advertisement. Now you have the whole thing that that's like the retail advertisement, but you're a spouse in it, and that leads them right into, well, yeah, I would be. What do you have? Or yeah, I would be, but I don't believe it. Well, let me show you. That belief was justified, but no longer because of the new discoveries made. Okay, so you're right into making the presentation. Okay, let's go into the next one. Number 3, damaged DNA causes, this is something just new. This is somewhat precipitated why I'm on the call today. But just research come out that damaged DNA actually causes wrinkles to form and hair to gray. And so if you could genetically turn them off, would this be something to be interested to do? Think how simple it is. Why are you wrinkling? Well, is it sunlight damage? Yes. So the sunlight's doing a great deal of damage, but the damaged DNA is causing your skin to wrinkle, and it's causing your hair pigmentation to go down because it's a defensive mechanism. And as you know, light, like white, reflects light. And so darker hair absorbs more light. And that's what the problem they're getting is that there's so much intact that the body tries to make it so that it will last longer. And here you sit with gray hair, white hair, and wrinkles all over your face, and cellulite in all places you may not want it. Well, we're not talking about cellulite in this, but I will tell you that if you could simply think of this, here's part of your DNA that's growing, and you have lots of components of it. DNA is so extensive, but here it is that's growing new skin, keeping your hair pigment up, and it gets damaged, and now it goes into the protective mode. So it starts. That's why wrinkles are the protective folds to take those cells away from harm's way, which is mostly UV light that's involved with it. So if you could, if that's what's causing, if it's like lifting a weight and contracting your muscles, then, and it is, how about if we just switch that off? What do you think would happen? Well, you go back right to the very unfortunate situation where you'd be de-wrinkling and having naturally colored hair again. Wouldn't that be horrible? So that's the new science that has been discovered, how to turn off the DNA that causes wrinkles, or skin to wrinkle, and hair to gray. If you genetically turn them off, would this be something you'd be interested in doing? Well, yeah. So how do we genetically do it? Well, this is a tough one, but I'll get the answer to it because I've got in mind what to do. But with that, that's a major breakthrough. And so here we are, and most skincare, okay, will stimulate, we can do some repair, will cause more regeneration. Now we're going right to the heart of it with something like this, and you're simply flipping the switch that turns the lights on, where they've been diminishing. Okay, so the next question, number 4, is if you could build deteriorating muscles and bones into strong, younger, ample, viable ones like you once had, would this be something of interest to you? Well, how many people are losing muscle mass and strength and things like that? I can't pick up that anymore. And so if you could build them in a stronger, without exercise, would this be something that would be of interest to you? So that's an important thing to consider. And just one second. Get an idea when I'm going. I don't want to lose it. Anyway, so here you are. You're 20 years old. You've done nothing, and you have a very supple, viable, young, healthy body. And if you continue on that way, you're going to have thin skin, thin bones, poor vision, all of those kinds of things happening. But in your muscles, strength will be gone, size will be gone, definition will be down, your skin will be sagging because of all of that. And if you could, without doing anything except simply picking up some capsules and putting them in your mouth and drinking or a powder and dissolving it and drinking it every single day, and you could turn on muscle rebuilding, like it trick the muscles into thinking they've exercised. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So trick them into thinking they're exercised, so they repair and they rebuild your body and your muscles. You can see how big that is. So see how question would work. That's a good one. So now the other is, if you, well, I kind of covered this. If you calculated the remaining amount of your lifetime you had and could double it and live it younger and healthier, would this be of interest to you? Well, yeah, I believe it. There's a come back there. Of course, you can't believe it. The fountain of youth didn't exist. Now it does. It's in a molecule, but it's not a mystical water. And it's been discovered, and leading universities are doing it. So how many people would be interested? Now, here's the science to show you. You can bring that documentation, say, but the question brings them into it, just like every question. So if you calculate the remaining amount of lifetime you have left and could double it and live younger and healthier, would this be of interest to you? Say, yes, okay. If they say no, yes means I'm interested, you go into the selling the whatnot. No, oh, what don't you understand? See, remember my note says, I don't understand. No, would it be of interest to you? No. What is it you don't understand? And then you can explain it to them and see. So you're giving them credibility, and it's one counterpoint to showing the potential of the product. So then, question number 6: if you're into fitness, would a product that could build muscle twice as fast as normal, recover 3 times faster from exercise, and increase, say, your maximum exercise level up to 20% higher capacity? In other words, you're going to run faster, or you're going to push up more weights and all of that with it. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of people want. So if you're increasing it, and then you have 30% more muscle growth with what you're doing with exercise or something like that, that's astounding. So a lot of people are into fitness. So let's just repeat it again, this question. If you're into fitness, what product would you be interested in? A product that can build muscle twice as fast as normal, recover 3 times faster, and increase your maximum exercise capacity 20% higher or up? And a lot of people say yes to that one, right? So the last one, which I didn't really get written out here for you, but I'll tell you. And this is, if you could take, you could say to a person, as you know, all life on Earth is made possible by the sun. If it wasn't for sunlight, which contains hydrogen, nothing on Earth could exist. But foods are not very efficient, and especially now the soils are worn out, they're not very efficient. And, well, you can explain this part of the explanation I'm getting into you. So I'll give the explanation with that. And so you're not getting the levels of hydrogen your body needs, and your body runs on hydrogen because this is what generates the energy, and the hydrogen has enormous energy, and also can support enormous effects in regeneration and a lot of activity with it. And so since that isn't there, how about if you could, and here comes the question, you would ask them to start with, you would say, since, I'd start off this way, since we know all life on Earth is created by the power of the sun, which is hydrogen, but it diminishes in food and in our bodies, and as a result, we become low energy, we age, and we deteriorate much faster. Would you be interested in a product that could supply the amount of energy of hydrogen at perhaps up to 10 times more than you're getting from anything else you're doing, and fill it in every cell in your body? Is that something that would be interesting to you? So anyway, those are the questions. Now I've gone, geez, 44 minutes. I was going to make them, thought I'd be out of here in 10. But anyway, these are 7 big questions. Now I'll write them out and I'll publish them today. And so my suggestion to you is, you don't know what to say to somebody, okay, here's 7 things you can say to someone depending on them. And look them over. If they're 20 and working out in the gym, I think I would skip, or I might skip some of the aging aspects, but I would go into fitness. So qualify what they are and what product could be. And that's just through observation. And you can make those, and so then if you have your question down right, you can go in and present it with your question. So these questions, it will always work. It will, but it will open doors so often. And the more aggressive you are, and I don't mean aggressive like on people, but more aggressive in talking to people about it, and making, just saying a simple question over and over again to them, you'll have a great number of people that will want it and give you an opportunity to present more on it. And then if you take care of them properly, you can have a new distributors, big retail customer list, all of those types of things. So all of those factors, and there's more, but what I've tried to do here was just hit on the some of the real hot ones. Now, if you found someone that had dementia or Alzheimer's, hey, you know, they're having a tough time with it, but they found the answer. It's just that they can't convert it from natural medicine into pharmaceutical medicine. They can't figure out how to make the synthetic molecule, but we know how to do it. Would you be interested in a product like this? So you can spin them off for other things, but now how many people, you know, have dementia and Alzheimer's? Well, everyone will get dementia. 50% of us will get Alzheimer's. How about if it became 0-0 with that kind of thing? And so we have the potential to do that, but that's a category that's on the tail end of life, and very important one to do. But all these different things, but don't take, you know, if you're in the right situation, then you can talk about other products. Somebody might be interested in hair conditioner and hair shampoo, so what are you going to talk to them about? You can talk to them about the harmful ingredients. If you have anything in their body that's causing estrogenic response in boys and in girls and in adult men and women. And men are less men, and women are much more stressed and exacerbated because of these synthetic estrogen mimics that the liver doesn't metabolize, but gives you sometimes 400 times more estrogenic stimulation, or what you don't need. And then some of these actually are cancer causing, and serious cancer causing, especially in breast cancer with it. And so here you have answers for these kind of things. But then you're talking about specific people, and where do you lead? You don't end up with necessarily cancer, but you do. You talk to them. The best thing about our products is what's not in them. See, there could be your question. I use hair care, and yeah, well, you know, I know you think you're probably using the best product, but let me tell you, the best thing about our products is what's not in them, and because they're full of all kinds of things that cause all kinds of health damage and age and your hormonal imbalance of you, children, everyone, even in the womb. And it's very easy to eliminate that and have a healthier body because of it. So that's all I'm going to go through today. I went through it a lot. I rambled a bunch. I apologize, but I had to throw this thing together. It was thoughts yesterday, and I knew I could put these questions together, and now I'll polish them up a little bit, and I'll publish them so you can get it. But you may want to listen to this tape again and again and take a bunch of notes, because there's a lot of peripheral information here too that might be helpful to you in what you're doing. But here's the thing. The race goes to the swift, but if you don't run the race, you're a spectator watching it go by you. So get in that race, and just like Monopoly, everyone that passes you go collects $200. It's the same thing here. It doesn't matter how fast you are, it's how persistent you are. The fortune is in the follow-up on this. The persistency pays, and so do it the best you can do it. And as you do it more, you'll find out your skills will increase, not because it's been easier to do, but your skill levels get a lot better. So put that in your mind so it takes away those doubts you have, those fear factors. Oh, I can't sell anything. How'd you sell yourself when you got married? I mean, that's a big job, right? So you got to think of it. You do have sales ability, you just don't know how to do it. So we can show you how to do it, and it doesn't matter where your sales is, your sales skills is or are. We can show you the things to do to direct them and to tweak them and fine-tune them and make them much more pointed and effective for you. So we're trying to put all that kind of stuff together, and on top of this, but ask yourself as we part, would you like to take a capsule every day and cancer cells would just gradually diminished till they never existed. And at the same time, all the old senescent stem cells, which are not producing and emitting toxins and things like that, can do the same thing. They can just fade away and repopulate themselves because the body's own natural mechanism will get rid of them and they'll repopulate themselves with all of the kinds of young stem cells you had when you were younger, and they'll be back at full throttle going again for you. So consider those things. We have things that are extraordinary like no one else does. The hydrogen water, the H2 stick, is really an interesting product too, because it gives you so much energy. It lasts all day, and I won't go through all the aspects of that because it takes up time. But this is an A+. Is running right with the age bill. These two are just creating scorched earth as they're going. They're so powerful. So we have those, and those, what do you want to concentrate on? Those right there that are doing that. Now, everyone's going to be interested in the hydrogen. And my grandson, Thomas Jr., as they call him, just came in and told me this yesterday. He said, boy, these H2 sticks really work. I'm going into the gym now, and he said, I have a certain amount of time, and I'm fatigued. And he said, if you notice today, I was an hour and a half late because my energy is so much, and endurance is so much greater. And he said, I'm lifting 20-30% more, or doing that with the different exercises and that you do with weights. I'm doing higher levels of weights to press than I've ever done before, 20-30% higher. Well, how many people are going to want that? How about if you don't exercise? Wouldn't you like the power of the sun radiating through every cell in your body? 10 times perhaps greater than what you're getting from food, and it's the very most powerful products on Earth that the universe was mostly built on, hydrogen. And it's in all of you. You produce things because of it. But if your hydrogen is low, then the process doesn't go as well. So super fortified with enormous amounts of it. And lots of oxygen, which makes oxygen too, to go with it to improve that metabolism and have an instant fuel there for the release of that hydrogen energy. So I got to stop. I just keep going on and on. I'm going to turn the time back to you, Dominic, and I hope you found this useful. I might tweak it again and do it later or something, but I'm going to get it published and get it out for you. But I hope this is giving you the kinds of thoughts you need, and you can put them in perspective and understand that you're the single best factor you have for success. You're also your own worst enemy if you fall victim to these things that that are their fears and things that you believe that are there, but that you can easily overcome. So you need to rise to the occasion, practice, do it the right way, and pretty soon that which you were fearful of, or may not have even liked in some cases, you'll become, and you'll enjoy them. You want to go out and do it. So anyway, thanks for being on today. I hope it was worthwhile for you doing, and I'll turn time back to you, Dominic.